A very good morning and welcome to the Early Edge. It's going to be a great Wednesday. This show brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. We've got a full team, so I want to get right to the stars of the show. Before we do that, let's take a look at the recap screen. If you recall, my pick was an early pick for NFL Sunday, so you don't see mine on there. You'll see it on the Monday recap. This is our first bad day in a few. We had a couple of great days in a row, but 1 and 4 certainly not going to cut it, but we'll rebound today. We have got a ton of stars on the show today. Let's bring them in right here, right now. Speaking of stars, we got Propstarz in here who's going to come and go. In other words, probably be off the show early because he's on assignment, having to do something for SportsLine later today. And Propstarz, I do want to start with you. Of course, we have Zach, Martin Green, and Amags. Your debut NBA article was, in fact, yesterday. Can you tell me, because we didn't have the greatest recap screen, can you tell me how you did on your debut NBA article, please?
I did well, Sia. Good morning, gentlemen, by the way. But yesterday we had the debut NBA article, went 3-0 by the skin of our teeth with a few of those Julius Randle fade, under 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He went the final 3 minutes of the games without recording a single point, rebound, and assist. So that was beautiful to see. Hopefully we can keep the momentum rolling today, gentlemen.
All right, Amags, there's somebody in the chat. You're already taking some heat. Somebody says, Snug the Cat says, what a surprise Amags is here today. I don't know if that's a knock on you, like because you want to hide your face, but the Yankees did win yesterday. You've got some picks for today, correct?
No hiding my face. And as a fan, hey, I certainly have a little bit of faith. After that game last night, they looked lifeless going into that game. So that was at least a little bit, but I do have some picks for this game that maybe go a little bit against what the fan in me wants to happen.
Very, very interesting. Love the objectivity. Zack Cimini, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Sia. It's finally cooled off in Vegas about 3 weeks later than usual, right before Halloween. Yesterday was windy, cold. Get those jackets out. 45 degrees outside right now.
Yeah, we've got college football coming from Zach in a second. We've got NBA. We've got MLB. We've got an NFL future coming from me. And Martin Green, of course, we also have soccer coming from you, correct?
Yeah, I'm not good for much else, unfortunately, Sia. So just soccer from me today.
Soccer and Philly sports. All right, speaking of Philly sports, let's just get this thing started. Proppy, not that you have a Philly pick, but you're a Philly guy. You've got some NBA to talk to us about, and then I know you've got to bounce sooner rather than later. So let's go ahead with your official play on a Wednesday.
Thank you, Sia. Yeah, Philly guy through and through. Going to go to the NBA here with a pick I absolutely love. It's Evan Mobley to go over 15.5 points. I've been talking about Evan Mobley all offseason, obviously. For the season debut, we took his PRA over. That obviously hit. Evan Mobley's fantastic. I think he's made a huge leap, fresh off this big $200 million multi-year extension. I think Evan Mobley is going to ascend into a superstar, potentially at least an all-star. He's a fantastic two-way player. I mentioned this earlier. Besides Wembanyama, he's the best two-way player under 25 years old, in my opinion. I think he's going to average at least 18 to 20 points per game this season, as well as offensive game has really started to take shape. So I'm going to take him over 15.5 points against the Lakers. More of a neutral matchup. They do play at a faster pace. They've also been very generous to opposing power forwards. But I think with Evan Mobley, we're going to see this line be 18.5, 19.5 for the majority of the season. So buy this low while we can. Let's go Evan Mobley over 15.5 points tonight.
Propstarz, really quick follow-up. You mentioned numbers 15, 18, 20. I know you're at the hotel casino. You've been there for a while. Great casino. I know you've repped it out pretty well. I don't know if you've had a chance to spin the roulette wheel. If you were to spin the roulette wheel, what number would you choose on the inside?
I'd like to go 00 a little bit just because, I like to consider Agent Zero, Gilbert Arenas, shout out to him. Yes. But yeah, I'd probably go within the number 1 through 9. So maybe 4 to 7 in that vicinity.
All right, fair enough. My number is like 33. I have numbers in the third of it. If you have a roulette number that you like at the casino, like 33 is my number, 28, 29, 26. That's where I like to live. Hey, Max, you're nodding your head vigorously. Is there a number, a go-to number for you?
31. And my little roulette strategy, I'll just kind of split the pairs of the same colors down like the middle of the board, throw a little bit on 31, just have some fun. That's a type of game you can just have some fun and kind of don't got to worry
It's
about
a fun game. It's such a fun game. Zach, you live in Vegas. I know there's probably games with other edges, but on the fun meter, roulette wins it. I mean, it feels like I'm playing like Price is Right Plinko. It's just good, fun. Is there a number that you love as well?
Not really. I'm the one that protects my money, but I'll watch my buddies lose their money. So I'm on the side of the table watching them put their chips down and getting them taken off the table.
Martin, we have people in the chat dropping their numbers. Aaron Bailey says red 23, Rashawn Jones 9 and 12. Oh, I love the Gilbert Arenas shout out, by the way, Proppy. In his show, his podcast, it is awesome. I love all things Arenas. Martin Green, is there a number? Have you played roulette? What's the number of choice?
I just have to stick to red bets for Arsenal. Side bets, even money. Make sure I pick a French roulette wheel. None of that American roulette nonsense with a 000. That just gives you a huge house edge. And go for a reverse martingale strategy and then walk away if I get some good money.
There are some casinos adding a third zero option, which is basically stealing. Stay away from those tables or stay away from those casinos altogether. All right, Martin Green, enough of that. Let's talk about some actual official picks. By the way, again, if you have a number, I think this is fun. If you have a number you love to play in roulette, put it in the chat. If you have a pick for today, put it in the chat. If you have a question, put it in the chat. Martin, I have a question for you. What are the plays on the pitch?
So I am going for a parlay, which features Inter Milan and Benfica. Inter Milan are the Serie A champions, but they're now 5 points behind their title rivals Napoli after they played out a wild 4-4 draw with Juventus at the weekend. However, they do have a game in hand, and I think they should pick up an away win against Empoli today. They've actually won their last 6 away games against Empoli. So history suggests that they'll win. They should go into the game full of confidence. I'm combining them with Benfica. They're playing against a team called Santa Clara, a newly promoted team in the Portuguese League Cup. These teams played against one another in the league last month, and it finished 4-1 to Benfica. Benfica, clearly the superior team. They could make some changes because it's the cup, it's not the league, but I do still think that at home, Benfica should have enough quality to win the game. So putting them both together at -112. For my other pick, I was really tempted to go for Juventus because I do think that they should beat Parma today. But I got scared in the end because they draw too many games, and I changed it for Manchester United money line and under 4.5 goals. Big news in the soccer world is that Man United just fired their manager, Erik ten Hag, following a really disappointing defeat to West Ham at the weekend. It's been a miserable start to the season for United. He paid the price. But Ruud van Nistelrooy is now taking the reins on a temporary basis. He's a bit of a club legend, and he's a proper manager as well. He managed PSV Eindhoven quite recently. He's going to be desperate to impress as he auditions for the permanent job. And I do think that United could enjoy a new manager bounce against a pretty poor Leicester team who lost comprehensively to Nottingham Forest last time out. United do have a excellent record in cup competitions over the past 2 years. So I think they should win at home. The odds on a moneyline win aren't great. I'm combining it with under 4.5 goals. I think it should just stay under that total, -125. Hope it pays off.
Martin Green, absolutely love the picks. Love the analysis. I will point out that going back to Proppy's pick, Mark Gillett says BetMGM has Mobley 14.5 and it's a little pricier, -130. Also, he likes Tyler Hero over 17.5. So I did want to point out Mark Gillett because I'm glad you pointed out a different number on our very own BetMGM, but also Mark Gillett was very instrumental yesterday in getting our likes up by asking a question he already knew the answer to, and we're already seeing more likes. So if you haven't already hit the like button, thank you, Mark, but thank you everybody else for participating in that. Speaking of BetMGM, new BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you will receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get back with some baseball picks. I got an NFL future. We got college football tonight. We've got a lot to cover. We're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
CBS Sports HQ, giving you college football coverage unlike anyone else.
We're talking Big Ten.
Pre- and post-game coverage.
Are you encouraged with the way that this team responded?
Along with breaking news.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
Highlights and expert analysis.
That streak could be in jeopardy here.
Sure. What was your main takeaway from this game? How impressive was his domination?
That really changed the football game.
Let's go ahead and have some more fun.
Another wild ending.
The chaos continues.
Turn to CBS Sports HQ.
All right, we're back on BetMGM. On Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM. Joe Neuenfeld says NFL future, that he's intrigued. David Tox says our Yankees are alive. Let's go. All right, Amags, that's a nice transition, but it's an awkward transition, right? Because your picks aren't necessarily celebrating or supporting the hat that you're wearing. So what are the plays?
Yeah, so yesterday you guys saw a post on the site. I thought that Luis Gil being a near minus 150 favorite for the Yankees and getting, actually closer to plus 130 on some books for the Dodgers money line, I thought that was really enticing. Even with the bullpen game, the offense just humming. So felt like that, numbers wise it worked out, but I felt like that was the right side to go to. Now, I guess I kind of won either way, right? If the Dodgers had won, you win the bet. But if the Yankees had won as the fan, I was happy with that. I will certainly not be changing anything up today. But at the same time, superstition is kind of funny to talk about. But I do think that you kind of just got to play the Dodgers. Again, you're getting a very similar price. Now you have Garrett Cole on the side of the Yankees this time, which certainly could be an issue. But at the same time, the Dodgers didn't use their bullpen, their top bullpen arms yesterday. It was a bullpen game, but they kind of got through with Honeywell and Casparius. And, they did use Hudson a little bit, who Hudson was the one that gave up that grand slam, but you didn't use Trinan. And so I think that today having those big guns at the back end to kind of make this game much shorter for this Yankees offense, I think that that's the formula to win. So the plus 125, shop around a little bit, but I found value on that number. So felt that it was more than playable. And then secondly, there's not anybody else better to bet on right now than the guy that is on a complete tear. He has taken over the World Series. And it's Freddie Freeman, 5 for 16 in the series here, 10 RBIs and 4 home runs. The best stat, though, out of everything, 0 strikeouts. I think that right there in and of itself, if you can't get the guy out, he's putting the ball in play and he's hitting it hard, and you're going to play in a stadium like Yankee Stadium that's lefty friendly, it's really tough. And then you get this number, minus 110 for the hit run RBI to go over 1.5. Look, he could walk. I actually was looking at the walk at plus money just because of how good he's been. I wouldn't actually be surprised at all if Aaron Boone walked him one or multiple times tonight. So I think, the walk at plus money, if you want to dabble in that, I have no problem. But the over 1.5 hit run RBI, really a lot of ways for him to cash this one tonight. So I think Freeman, you got to stay steady and keep playing this one. Play the Dodgers. Of course, I'll be rooting for the Yankees. And, wherever you guys were sitting last night, make sure you're sitting in the same spot tonight.
Very interesting. Mark Buckholtz and Joe Neuenfeld saying a good old emotional hedge from Amags, and that they absolutely love it. Interesting. Listen, I love the analysis. I love the objectivity. Love to see all of that. Martin, I got a question for you before we get to my pick and Zach's pick. Ramon Prado says, Martin is shaking in his boots seeing them Chelsea boys coming up in the schedule. Your response?
Just look at the recent head-to-heads between Arsenal and Chelsea. It's been a huge period of dominance for Arsenal. So were I wearing any boots, I certainly would not be shaking in them.
Fair enough. All right. Rebecca O'Connor earlier said red 23 for the GOAT, of course, referencing Michael Jordan. That's her roulette number. Speaking of red, speaking of dominating, I'm going with the future in the NFL. It's not going to be one of those futures where it's like super fun, like plus 1,800 or plus 1,000 and you hit real big. This is a plus 110 on the best team in the NFC West. I love this number. I was doing a futures segment with Meg McDonald a couple of days ago. We were looking at the NFC West futures, and I was kind of stunned. Listen, I understand the Rams got their guys back. Arizona's playing well. I think Seattle's just a bad team. But the fact that we've got plus 110 on the 49ers when they're basically, leading the division with the Arizona Cardinals, it's all kind of bunched up. I really like this number. You can make the argument that the San Francisco 49ers don't look the same. They don't have Brandon Ayuk. Debo's been injured, but Debo's going to be fine. Juwan Jennings is going to be back. Looks like Christian McCaffrey is coming back after their bye week this week. You still got the defense that's still like humming for the most part and still relatively healthy. You still got Kyle Shanahan, and you still got Arizona. It's probably going to regress to the mean. The Rams probably going to be a little dangerous, but still have no defense. Getting plus 110, I mean, earlier in the season or before the season started, I don't remember what this number was, but it's probably like minus 2 something. And now just because they're bunched up at the top, it's like they're starting the season over, right? I like the Niners here to win the NFC West at plus 110. I think this is a very favorable number. And I think this should probably be, I do want to give some credit to the Rams and to the Cardinals. I think this should be like minus 135, minus 140 in all honesty. So I'll take the plus 110. We can all root for this together, whether you put a few bucks on it or a lot more than a few bucks. I think this is a play that we can all kind of root together with. All right, Zach, I don't know if you have any response to that NFL future, but I do know that you have a play tonight, Wednesday night football in college football.
Yeah, I do. And see, I don't mind that. They just have to clean up the division because 2 of those losses against the Rams and Cardinals, you were winning, probably were favored by double digits going in the fourth quarter in the live line and somehow blew those games. So they cleaned that up in the division, certainly like the 49ers. But for my play, I'm going to the Conference USA, Western Kentucky versus Kennesaw State. I was thinking about just taking the side with Western Kentucky, but it is a big number. So I'm just going to attack their team total and go over 35.5 points. They're coming off a bye week. They have been rolling prior to that where they won 5 of 6 games. Balanced team with their passing game offensively and the rushing attack. And I just think you can't overreact to what we saw from Kennesaw State last week. One as near 4 touchdown underdogs against Liberty, scored 27 points. They are just not a team that scores, only averaging 15 points per game. Only Houston and Florida State are worse in college football. So this is a case where I think Western Kentucky can get points with their normal offense, but also the Kennesaw State defense is going to be worn down from so many punts from their offense. They're going to be on the field a lot. And what we're seeing in Conference USA is just realignment problems. That is a dangerous element going up against a Western Kentucky team that seems to be a class above in this Conference USA this year. So I'm going to attack their team total and go over 35.5 points for Western Kentucky.
All right, over 35.5 points for Western Kentucky. Let's go around the horn before we hit the recap screen. By the way, Big Cheesy says, Sia, this is the best pick you have ever given out, and that he loves this. I don't know if that's a compliment or not. Maybe he hates all my picks, and he just kind of is lukewarm on this one, and that's why it's the best pick I've ever given out. But I appreciate it. I think we're all probably in some way maybe wanting to ride the Niners here because they've had a slow start to the season. Hey, Max, was there anything in the chat baseball-wise that you needed to address?
2 things. One, I had to go back and look for it. Paul Swaney, he commented real early in the show, said first time watcher, as he's been a listener on the podcast only until today. So hopefully we look exactly how you thought we would. And, thank you for watching. Secondly, Garrett Cole is at 17.5 outs tonight. I personally am not going to bet the under or the over, but to get 17.5 outs in the playoffs against this type of a lineup in an elimination game, I think that you have to play the under. But at the same time, I will give you this caveat that, Garrett Cole was pulled at 88 pitches a bit early, as a lot of the media wanted to remind Aaron Boone. I do not think that happens tonight. I think as long as he's pitching well, he's going to keep just going. So if he's pitching well, that number is going to be in serious jeopardy. But 17.5 to go full 6 in the playoffs, elimination game, that's tough to bet the over.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Martin, I'm going to go to you in a second to see if there's any soccer cleanup we need to do from the chat. I do have a question for you, Zach. I don't know if you've looked at this Jacksonville State game against, I believe it's Liberty. I think Liberty's laying 2.5 in this one. Any opinion on that one? I mean, I didn't give it a hard look, and I'm certainly not giving out even an unofficial play. I would have probably leaned to Liberty laying the points. Do you have any lean in this one?
Yeah, I was looking at that one. I think the spread should be closer to 4.5 on Liberty's side, but because of that bad loss last week, it's trickled down a bit. So it is one I passed on. Ultimately, may look at the end game. Was a good game last year, if I do recall properly. So it should be a good game, but I think the spread is just right.
Yeah, fair enough. Zach is the best. I'm asking about Jacksonville State Liberty on the fly, and he's like, yeah, I would have had this at 4.5. All right. I wasn't expecting that necessarily, but I should have because Zach is truly the best. Jeffrey Aguilar, you have a very good question. What's the promo code for SportsLine? I'm trying to join. Help me out, fam. Fam's got you. All right. You go to sportsline.com/join. All you got to do is type in the promo code winners. winners. That's it. And you get 60% off the annual plan. You can check out that QR code right here, right now. Scan that right now if you want. Otherwise, go to sportsline.com/join. Type in the promo code winners. You get 60% off the annual plan. It's not just my picks and Zach's picks and Proppies and Amags and Martin Green's. It's the articles as well. It's the simulations. It's Mike McClure's stuff for DFS across all sports. There's so much that SportsLine has to offer. So make sure if you're not already joined, you join. Martin, before we get to the recap screen, anything soccer-wise we need to address?
Nothing major to address, I don't think, Sia. There were rumours that I was going to take over as the next Manchester United manager. I can neither confirm nor deny that. Couple of questions about games taking place in Scotland. I think that Celtic should win pretty comfortably. 3-0, 4-0, something like that. And the Aberdeen versus Rangers game. Aberdeen away is a very tough away game for Rangers. Aberdeen are 5-0 at home so far this season. So that could really go either way. But maybe both teams to score an over 2.5 goals looks pretty attractive there.
Fair enough. You saw the smirk on my face, everybody. It's because I was wondering, Amags, where Jeff Sternberg was. I was like, where is he? He's usually antagonizing. Maybe I missed it earlier because there's so many of you participating, which we appreciate. But finally, I see a comment from him that says, can't wait to watch the Dodgers celebrate in Yankee Stadium tonight. It's going to be capital EPIC. Amags, your response.
I wrote it in the chat there. I said, well, at the very least, I'd hit my bet. So
yes,
there you go, man.
The emotional hedge indeed. All right, let's take a look at the recap screen. I've got a future, folks. 49ers to win the NFC West. You can get this pretty much everywhere at plus 110. Martin Green, moneyline parlay, Inter plus Benfica, or I should say Benfica, minus 112. Manchester United moneyline plus under 4.5 at minus 125. Zack Cimini, Western Kentucky, team total over 35.5 points. That's tonight. That's at minus 120. Amags, Dodgers moneyline plus 125. And Freddie Freeman, he's been a little hot. Over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs at minus 110. And Propstarz was with us earlier today. Evan Mobley over 15.5 points at minus 120. You all were digging in the chat. You saw that at 14.5 at some books, including BetMGM at minus 130. So you can take that and find that as well. What a great show. Mark Gillett says, hit the like button. You all have been great with that, but I guess we can always be better. You all are great with the questions and the comments in the chat. Everybody antagonizing Amags, you love to see it. Your roulette stuff, love to see that as well. Let's have a great and positive Wednesday. No Rounders quotes today, folks. All right, on behalf of Zack Cimini, Martin Green, Amags, Propstarz, and Jake the Snake, always on the 1s and 2s and 9s and 10s. I'm the Counselor of Cash. This is the Early Edge. Have a great day, everybody. Seriously, let's stay positive. Let's have a great day. Let's say hello to people. Thank you, please. All of that stuff. Eye contact. Get off the cell phone and start walking by people and saying hello. This is the Early Edge. I'm the Counselor of Cash again. We rest our case.